been a long time coming. This has been in the works forever. We are in a crazy time right now. And with coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, this pandemic that we are in, it's a crazy time. And especially crazy for people like us who have anxiety, depression, PTSD. We are stuck in the house. There is so much chaos and heartbreak going on in the world that it is very hard not to get caught up in that. I know I stopped keeping count on how many days we've been in quarantine now, but I know when things first started getting serious, I've had multiple panic attacks because thinking about if I get sick, and then if I get sick, I have to go to the hospital. If I get bad enough to where I have to go to the hospital, then I'm going to go to the hospital alone. And then I'm thinking about all the people who are dying alone without their family members, and then thinking about their family members not being able to be there. And it's just this vicious cycle, and it's a snowball effect. And it isn't healthy, but that's what our brains do. So obviously, since being quarantined, I can't do, which we all can't do, therapy, who are in therapy. So it's all been virtual therapy. And with anxiety, I was talking about my therapist with this. Anxiety can mimic, and PTSD can mimic the symptoms of COVID-19. So I noticed that when I'm looking up the symptoms of it, or I'm reading about how all these new symptoms are coming about, and it could be chest pain, it can be shortness of breath, it can be this, it can be that. Those are all symptoms of anxiety. So it's very hard to find things, especially when we're quarantined like we are. We can't leave our house. There's Lucy. We can't leave our house. We can only do essential things, whether it's going to the grocery store, and even that is super scary because being 6 feet apart and people not listening or abiding by those, the guidelines, and not having the proper, I don't have any masks, I just found gloves, but it's hard when other people are standing in line, you're going to the grocery store, and you're going down an aisle, and you're patiently waiting for that person to go the other way, but they just seem to not have a care in the world. So in times like these, what do? I have been writing a butt ton. I have post-it notes for video topics and writing topics and all that fun stuff for future videos. But I've been writing a lot, and I don't know if it's being quarantined or exactly what it is, but I have had all this emotion and thoughts, and I just find myself, I open up my journal, and before you know it, I filled 4 pages. So that is a very healthy way of getting everything that you feel out. For me, it works because I have to think, obviously, about what I'm writing, so it slows my brain down, and I can just write and write and write, and like I said, before you know it, I have all these pages filled. Animals, they're a great distraction. I have Bubba down here, which you can't see. Lucy was up here. I also have a blind kitty, Winnie, she has no eyes, and 4 ducks. I'm taking care of animals. Bubba, my dog, is definitely, he's not registered as an emotional support animal, but he's definitely my emotional support animal. I got Bubba about 6 months to a year before my brother passed away, and he has been there with me through thick and thin, through the good times and bad times. There'll be times where I don't get out of bed for hours on end. If Eric's at work, it's just to let him out, and he stays with me until he has to absolutely go potty or go outside. So that always helps. If you're feeling anxious, what I like to do is I know it looks super silly, but it helps. So there's a little bit of a, just do it for a couple minutes. Obviously I'm not doing it correctly because I'm talking, but breathe in, breathe out, switch nostrils. It's hard for me with a nose ring, sometimes I get that caught in. Music. This is like a perfect time to learn a new instrument. I've had a Taylor guitar for maybe a year now, and dabbled here and there with it, trying to learn, but probably the last week I've really have gotten attached to it. That's a great way to take your mind off of what's going on. Also, staying off social media. It is horrible sometimes. I had, when this first started, downloaded the CNN app, and then I kept getting like notifications every time, breaking news, this, that, president, whatever was going on, and I would find myself reading articles and articles and articles. So staying off your phone, not reading as much. Like I said, music, for me, music is a great way. Listening to music, trying to play an instrument, FaceTiming with your family members. I FaceTime when my mom has my niece and nephews. That's a great way. Not really the best with my friends, and if you're watching this, I'm sorry, and I love you. But you know, with anxiety and depression, you kind of rot into yourself, and it's not that we don't love specific people, whether it's friends or family, it's just that we don't reach out when we should. Little background, if you don't know who I am, some of you may, some of you may not. My name is Krystin. I am 28 years old. I started my Facebook page, Krystin Keeps Moving Forward. Ryan passed away in March 4th of 2016. He battled with mental illness, and I had suffered from anxiety and such prior to, and my brother was diagnosed in his early 20s with bipolar disorder. It wasn't until after he passed away that dealing with my grief and everything else, I had 28 years of feelings and emotions and problems that I had and trauma that I never dealt with. And then when he passed away, it was just like a volcano erupted, and I couldn't control my emotions. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't eat. I had lost like 30 pounds. I think within like the first 6 months of his passing. And that's when things really started getting bad. And that was the first time that I had reached out to really anybody. But I reached out to my mom. I was living with her at the time, but I came out to her and I said, I don't think that this is normal. I need help. And that's when I started going to a grieving counselor. And I believe that was 6 months after Ryan had passed away. The thing with grief is I had lost grandparents and family members, but with your grandparents, it's not that it's not sad, but they lived an extraordinary life. They got to see their kids grow up. They got to see their grandchildren grow up. They got to live these full and long lives. And with Ryan, he didn't get that. I talked to him 10:30 the night before he passed away, and I woke up at 9:28 in the morning to a phone call from my mom letting me know that he had passed. He left behind a 1-year-old son. It was everything that I had in my world just got ripped right out from under me, and I was free falling, waiting for somebody to catch me, waiting for this nightmare to be over, and it's not. That's the thing with grief. I didn't know what was right. I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know if what I was feeling was normal. I didn't know if going out and seeing families at the beach happy would make me so angry inside, because our family would never have that again. My life, my family, as I knew it, it was over. Ryan was very much my best friend. Ryan was very much a father figure, in a sense. My grandfather was that for me for a really long time. And then when he passed away, it was Ryan. Ryan was the person I called for advice. Ryan was the person I called crying when I was having boyfriend issues. Ryan was the person I called when I heard a new song from a band that we enjoyed. He was the person I called when he lived in Massachusetts, and it was Tuesday night and Sons of Anarchy was on, and we're on the phone or FaceTiming about the episode and telling each other what we thought was going to happen next, or can you believe that Gemma did this? Ryan was very much that person for me, and that's when I realized that I wanted to reach out and start a page. I wanted to reach out to people who are like myself, going through similar things, and it doesn't have to be grief. It can be anxiety, it can be depression, it can be addiction, it can be PTSD, it can be, it can be anything. But coincidentally, I'm wearing this shirt. You matter. And I don't want anyone to feel as alone as I did in the beginning, because it is very much something that takes you into the darkest places that you didn't even think were even possible or real, but you learn very quickly that they are. So I wanted to do this. I wanted to have a page, or have really anything for somebody to come to and say, hey, I have a similar story, or hey, I don't have anybody to talk to. I'm scared to reach out to a parent or anything like that, and to have some sort of a resource. And I strongly encourage you, if you are in this position, even if you don't feel comfortable necessarily reaching out to a parent, reach out to somebody who you trust. And I know it's a very scary thing. Hi, Bubba. It's a very scary thing, but when you reach out to somebody that you trust and you have that ability to vent and kind of just unload everything that you've been carrying around, you get this weight that gets lifted, and you know that you have someone to talk to. You let it out. Everything that you have been kept in and trying to hold on to and trying to suppress, you let it out, and a little bit of that weight gets lifted every time you do it. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And it's been 4 years since my brother passed away, and I still have those days. I'm still learning how to say, hey, today I'm not doing well. Today I'm having a really bad day. Today I'm very anxious. With my PTSD, I get really bad nightmares. I didn't sleep last night. And it's hard for me to do those sort of things, because I am built I don't want to say built, but it is in me. It is my nature to want to help other people. So for me, in my head, I'm like, okay, Kristen, like, you need to shove it down and take care of everybody else or whatever the situation may be. And then later at night, when you're by yourself, you can unpack everything and go through it and deal with it on your own. Don't put it on other people. That's what I thought. And it's still my go-to sometimes. It's been my go-to for the last 28 years. And it's not healthy. It's not the right thing to do. But it's hard to retrain yourself, retrain your brain into letting yourself be okay with letting other people in. It's hard. It's not easy. And I'm not going to tell you that it is, because I'm not perfect. And obviously I still struggle with it. But I want you guys to know that you're not alone. And I'm here. And this is my first video. And it's not really that great. But I want you to know that I'm here for you. And I will keep making these videos and doing different topics. So if you have any topics that you want me to talk about, if there's something that you're going through and you want advice or really anything, the floor is open, so let me know. Alright guys, it's my first video. I'm super excited. It's a cringy video because it's my first, but I'm just excited to say I made my first video. Alright guys, I love